little piece of plastic in there, but I'll pull that out later. It's dry to the touch, but we'll just wait because it's not touching anything gooey, so don't mess with it if it ain't hurting nothing until later. Oh, you can see it's pretty shiny. It's a little bit like a fun mirror. It's making me look chubby. But yeah, so it's pretty consistent. How it is pretty much how it's going to dry. You can see the body lines. If you watch the previous videos, well, they're not bad. I mean, I'm trying to catch. The only thing that was a little off that we noticed, we got this line to be quite consistent. So shiny, it's weird to look at. Right at the back here, it's a little heavy in the one spot, but you don't really notice it walking by the truck. But that's not bad. I mean, this was jackknifed and smashed right in. And this shape in here is actually kind of bulbous and outward. And I mean, there seems to be a good enough transition in whatever we did that, you know, nothing is weird in the reflection. So we got our shape, you know, probably like 99% back. I'm pretty pleased with it. Down there straightened up nice. There was some rust down there we had to fix. Oh, and then there's the cab corner. Now, because of the whole supply chain nonsense, I was, 2 cab corners came. This one was a good one, and as you can see, it fits in there pretty good. It sits a touch lower at the bottom, but I mean, they're made to kind of slide over. But I like to knock it back a little bit so that it, you know, keeps a fairly decent gap with the door. But the other side wouldn't come in and wouldn't come in, so I tried to order it from a few different places. Well, then the tailgate, we were going to blend and do the one panel, but up here was so chipped out, I ended up coming right in that line to hide the separation, and I basically painted the upper half of the tailgate, because this tailgate, I mean, there's a bit of dust down there, but it's mint. It's not rusty at all. It's the one thing about the truck that's really, really good. And the tailgate looks great. Could be a touch brighter, but I think that'll dry all the same. Like when you put the big light on it, from the new paint to the old paint, it all looks the same. I'm still waiting on these stickers. If anyone in, yeah, I might have to find a different supplier for those. The guys are really slow, and I'm about 4 or 5 vehicles behind. So we'll have to get those. Now this cab corner that ended up coming was a bit of a cheapie. You can see how the gap is a little bit wider. Now to move that up, it didn't fit well around the back, so I had to half it up and kind of seal it off, which I think worked out okay. And the rocker is blended in. Once that's, give it about another hour, and I'll put a little bit of, what do you call that stuff? Kind of melts it in a little bit better on the sill. I mean, it's the sill. It's actually pretty good. I'll probably leave that alone. But yeah, so that's your new section of rocker, which goes about up to that hole, third hole. And then I made that because, you know, we didn't want to do rockers yet because the rest of them are super solid. But yeah. Yeah, so that's it. So with all the welding of the crazy little tabs, you know, and pulling it, she came back really good. The Bondo in this, like, I can't even see. I was worried because sometimes in the upper kinks, if they don't all go away, you get little, you know, little outward dents. But this come out nice. It blocked out nice. This is stellar. This is very, very good. I'm very happy. You know, and again, supply chain. So the thing with this truck was, can we fix the fender? Do we try to buy a whole entire side and glue a new side on? And I think that's the right thing to do if money is no object. But this is good. The only place where there's any Bondo, I find, if you look where everything meets, right down in here, you know, and again, everyone says you're okay to a quarter. There isn't a quarter of an inch there. Maybe an eighth, maybe. I mean, I sanded it so much I doubt it, but everywhere else is basically a skim coat. There's a touch of it on that line to straighten it out, the upper body line, where you can see that flat spot. And again, if it's a 16th, I'd be surprised. Like, it came pretty good. It don't shake, it don't tin can, nothing moves when you touch it, you know, and that's really important, because that's an issue with doing this kind of stuff. So you got to make sure that once you get it to where it goes, it's kind of relaxed and that it won't move. And what I do is I try to push whatever just back in with, you know, a bit of pressure on your hand or finger, and, you know, and if it pops back in, then obviously it's not happy and relaxed. Like, you don't want it under tension, because things will move, or, you know, drive it down a bumpy road, hit some potholes, and then if something kinks in. So you got to make sure nothing's going to kink in. But because of how all that comes together down here, I think it kind of gives it strength to some degree. So I don't know if you remember, but if you come up into this line here, there is some filler in this line because the metal had stretched. Now, a trick is to slice it, close it, and re-weld it. Sometimes that's okay. Older stuff, thicker metal, that's okay. But on this truck, what I did, because I had this line, and it's pretty deep, I'm not going to touch it because it might be a little tacky. But basically, I took my hammer up in there, and I kind of knocked it up, and basically pushed it a little deeper than it should be in order to stretch. I know it sounds complicated, but when you start playing with it, these little things that I might say, or other guys might say, different videos you watch, and it happened for me too. Like, I thought I was pretty good for years, and then you know, there's a few guys that I started watching, and you know, it was pretty inspiring because they'd say little things, and I thought, wow, that's pretty neat. And then you kind of forget, because, you know, you're watching it like for entertainment, but when you're in the shop working, it sort of comes back to you, you know. And there's probably a few guys I'd like to thank for some of the stuff, because they kind of helped me out a little bit. I mean, I was out of this for a long time and got back in it as well. So, you know, what's his name? Check out Fitzy's channel. Fitzy's Fabrications, I think it is, from Nova Scotia. But if you type in Fitzy, it'll come up. He explains things. He makes things simple. If you're not real great with shaping metal, I mean, I've been pretty lucky. I'm not a great painter. I'm an okay body guy, but I'm good with metal shaping with a hammer on a stump. So we'll do some videos of that later. But if you have like multiple complex shapes, like Fitzy did some box work. I think it was on an old Datsun truck from the 70s. But he was making, you know, like, say you had weird body lines like in here, instead of trying to remake that, he made the bottom plate, then he made the inner piece, you know what I mean? So he makes it all in different places, welds it all together, shows you how to do the inside, outside, and, you know, so there's different ways you can do things. But I mean, sometimes what you're used to doesn't work in a certain situation. So the more you know, the more you can adapt, the more you can apply things. Now, in my case, I'll try to make it in less pieces, but you know what, if you can't and it's weird, say you're making a piece and there's 2-3 bends in it, and you know, you have 3 or 4 planes. If one plane is hindering all the others, maybe cut that plane out. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, back to the jackknifed truck. This it looks okay. I think the color looks okay. We'll know for sure out in the sun, but I mean, I ain't changing it. It is what it is. I think it'll do. This was not a huge money job. I do old stuff, and this was a friend's truck, so, you know, just figured I'd treat her right, save her some money. She'd been waiting for a year for the other body shops. I'm up in 2 hours, west of Ottawa, Ontario, and it's hard to get anything done right now, supply chains and everything else. So I guess what's happening out there is the insurance jobs always come first, you know, because that's the bread and butter of most collision shops. And I get calls all the time to do those, and I turn them away because I want to concentrate on the toys, the cool stuff. So I do a little bit of this newer stuff, but you know, this is somebody's paying me out of pocket, and I don't mind helping them out. Let's come around over here. Right, this is what I like to do. We'll get back to that. Not my style of car, but hey, it's a 63 and it's awesome, so I can't wait to get at that. It's got a really good budget. It's gonna be nice. But yeah, so you know, I'd like to thank some guys out there. Fitzy for one. If you're out there, you know, Thanks for sharing your videos. You never stop learning, as you say, and I've learned tricks that I didn't know watching your videos. And one guy who's helped me a lot, I've even thrown a few questions his way. This is the replacement trim piece for around the back wheel. But yeah, Lakeside Auto Body. He does things a little bit old school, but he's not afraid to do it. He does a lot of his stuff in live time, and I find he knows when to stop and, you know, when to say all the good stuff. You know, little tricks on hit it here because of this or hit it there. And it's funny because he explains a lot, and it's hard to retain everything. But like I said earlier, when you start doing the work and all of a sudden it's like, well, how am I going to do that? It's like school, right? You learn it, you don't know why, and one day it all comes back to you. So anyway, I'd like to give him a shout out. And then there's the guy from, what's the channel called? Paint Society. He's helped me with metallics on some of the newer stuff. And again, you can message some of these guys and they'll help you out if you're really, really stuck. I mean, I try not to burden anybody, but just watch their videos and, you know, that'll pretty much take care of it. But that's it for now. So as you can see, if you smash everything, it's not the end of the world. I'll do like a 30-second video once I get it all together with the trim on it and the tail light, and I'll clean the dust off the bumpers and everything. But yeah, so like when you wreck your stuff, you know, it's just metal. Fix it. All right, thanks. Cheers.